What's up and welcome. Today I'll be talking to you about basic monitor lizard care. At the beginning of this year of 2017, I received a female black dragon, which is a hypomelanistic version of a Varena Salvatore water monitor. This monitor was sold to me as being kept by an avid keeper. Less than 2 months later, it passed away due to complications from egg binding just before emergency surgery. And come to find out, the person who had it before me kept it in an enclosure that did not have substrate in it, and given that it was a female, it was not allowed to lay its clutch naturally. It ended up holding on to its clutch of eggs. The eggs became calcified, and it ended up passing away. It's simple things like this, which is the reason why a lot of people aren't successful keeping these wild animals and wild reptiles in captivity. The first thing I want to talk to you about today is basic husbandry and deciding whether or not you can take care of an animal like this for long-term periods of time. The general captivity lifespan of a Varena Salvatore species is between 12 and 20 years in captivity, and there's been known species that have lived longer than this. It's real easy to get involved thinking that you can take care of an animal that starts out about 12 inches long but then turns into a 6-foot long lizard. Once you have decided if you can take care of that animal, you need to look at their habitat and habitat requirements. I happen to have a small baby monitor here that I bred here at Toothless Reptiles, and I will pull her or him out. It's most likely a female, but I'll pull her out so we can talk about her for a second. This is a female het black dragon, so it carries a heterozygous gene for hypomelanistic trait, and she hatched out of this little egg right here. So these monitors can get up to 9 feet in the wild, but in captivity, they tend to stay slightly smaller. But when you see a monitor this size, you think, okay, it's cute, I can take care of that, it doesn't require a lot of space. But you have to realize that these monitors grow exponentially over the first few years that you have them. So basic husbandry on something like this, you would want to keep it in a smaller enclosure because you need to build trust with it first. Secondly, you need to have a hot spot that's around 130 degrees. Now, in my case, I always keep my hot spots on 24 hours a day. Then you're going to want a light source that does not produce heat because you're already producing a ton of heat for your hot basking areas, and you don't want a light source that's producing any more heat, because then you'll run into the issue with your ambient temperatures getting out of control. You want to maintain an 80 to 85 degree ambient temperature. You need to maintain a hot spot of 130 degrees, and you need to have a UVB light source. UVA is fine, UVB is even better. You also need to have a large water vessel. These are water monitors. They will spend most of their time in the water. They are almost, she's so funny, almost borderline aquatic. So they're almost like an alligator. It's really easy to see something like this and think, okay, well, I can put this in my dorm room and take care of it for a little while, thinking that it's not going to live 20 years. But I'll show you exactly what a smaller adult female looks like in just a second. This right here is Yoshi. So Yoshi is a 14-year-old Varena Salvatore water monitor. She is your garden variety, found in a pet store every once in a while, import water monitor. And she has produced a ton of clutches. She's actually full of eggs right now. That's why her belly is so big. But this is how big they can get. So a female, she's actually small for her age. So she's a smaller female. She's only about 5.5 feet. So the requirements for a larger animal and the smaller animal are exactly the same, with the only exception being food intake. So you're going to need to keep a huge enclosure for these guys. They will generally take up an entire room in your home eventually. You're going to need to feed them, which is a huge amount of food per week. And depending on your, if you have breeding plans or you're running a breeding facility like I am, their food intake kicks up quite a bit. And then their cage requirements, especially for a female like this, is going to be, they're going to need a huge place to lay eggs. So she's a little uncomfortable because her belly's so huge. But You know, that's one thing to take into account when you're thinking about buying something like this, is that eventually it's going to get big, and they're going to get big fast, and they're going to need to be taken care of. And that's a responsibility that you need to accept as a keeper, is that something like this is going to need your entire undivided attention.